everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Two Dudes podcast. I'm Reg.
I'm Randy.
And joining us this week from Saskatchewan and also Edmonton. So we're going national, transnational is this episode.
We're just the Wexit Square is just coming in here.
Anyway, on that, we're gonna do a hard turn away from that, and we're gonna go from Saskatchewan. Joining us, former guest of the show, Jeremy Hook, and from Edmonton, Mr. Christian Richman. Welcome, boys.
Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You bet. I don't know if Jeremy said anything because I didn't hear it, but
Oh, can you hear me though?
yeah. It seems to be when you first start, it sort of like cuts out and then it finds you. The wonders of Saskatchewan telecommunication. So
There we go.
I'm going to dunk on Saskatchewan as much as possible.
The good thing is I think Christian will have the most information you'll want to hear anyway, so I probably won't talk a whole lot.
Fair enough. So yeah, we can dunk all we want, and Jeremy just won't chime in. That's great.
There you go.
Anyway, so Jeremy's been on the show. He and I did one, I don't know, weeks and weeks ago, and so he's sort of used to the crap that Randy and I do. But welcome here, Christian. This is new to us. I dig the background, which actually, now that I think about it, I forgot to record the video, so we're going to start recording that right now.
There you go.
Yeah, so we're good. Anyway, so you guys are starting a podcast, which we should feel threatened by, but we don't. It's we should all come together and help each other.
We spread the love around here. We don't spread the hate. We spread the love.
Yeah, we're here to promote. So behind Jeremy's head, you can see Christian Stories is the title of the new podcast. So boys, tell us what's going on.
Flexibility there. Oh, that was impressive.
What's the plan here? What's the show about?
Christian, you want to take that?
Okay, yeah. Basically, I've known Jeremy for a long time. I met him more than 20 plus years ago, maybe. And I've always just, we've hung out and I've told him like stories from my life, because, I don't know, just sitting around shooting the shit. And after a while, people just like Jeremy and other people just kept telling me I had a lot of really crazy stories, and I never really knew what to do with any of them. It's just weird stories from my life, and finally one day, I don't know, I wanted to get them out to the world, not just telling people here and there. Like, it's always fun to have connections with people, but yeah, it'd be nice to be able, because like I see a lot of paranormal stuff out there, and it would be, I told Jeremy one day it would be cool to be able to put my experiences out there for people to hear about, because I don't know, maybe somebody else has seen something or experienced something similar. And sure. I don't know, Jeremy came up with the idea, just like, instead of going out and looking for somebody else to do a podcast, but like, let's just do a podcast ourselves and, and just get the stories out there.
That's awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we have a podcast and we don't know what the fuck we're doing. So you may as well just do it yourself and, and take care of it on your own.
Exactly. And the technology's all, it's readily available these days. So.
For sure. So when you were telling all these stories as you were going, maybe this is a dumb question, but were you aware as you're telling these things how kind of, like, as you claim that these stories are kind of kooky or weird or cool? Did you get the perception yourself, or it's just sort of your life and you're just telling the story of your life?
Basically, I'd just be, I don't know, we would just get onto a topic, and a lot of times I would just come around to, I wasn't trying to freak anybody out or anything, but it just, something would remind me of, oh yeah, the time this happened, when I was a kid or whatever, or I'd bring up the topic of how I was raised. People start asking questions, and I'd start talking about some of the weirder things that had happened, just in the situation I was raised in,
Well, let's dig into that a little, shall we? Let's, because from what I hear, you're involved in some sort of cult-like thing. Is it, Jeremy? I remember when I was in Saskatchewan, we were hanging out. Is it the Branch Davidians? Is that what I was thinking of, or is that just a different thing in my head?
Is that what they were called, Christian? Is it the Davidians?
No, the Branch Davidian, I believe those guys were the
David Koresh?
That was the Waco
people.
Yeah,
that was the Waco.
Okay, yeah. That popped into my head, and I'm like, I don't think that's right, but that term was in my head for whatever reason. But anyway,
I think you probably thought of that because of Moses David. Maybe.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm like,
Because
I
that
don't know
almost
if they're
sounds,
connected,
it sounds connected.
yeah,
Now that I think about it.
connected in a different way, perhaps.
If he was like the emperor of, and in Star Wars, that would be his elite guard, the Branch Davidian or whatever.
Yeah.
That's what it's.
Yeah. Execute Order 66.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Well, yeah, tell us about that. We recently had a guest who escaped it was a cult, but it was a pretty stereotypical kind of Christian conservative type culty thing. So it's a little bit less overtly culty as based on how most people think of cults. But how was your situation like?
Oh, it wasn't a conservative cult at all. It was basically, they were called the Children of God. They go by many names, the Family International now. At the time, it was just, they always just referred to it as the family. But, the Children of God, they were basically a UFO sex cult.
Oh,
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
That's my kind of church.
Right. It's designed that way to bring people in, but it is once you start getting into it, it's not what you thought, when going in. It's actually a lot of it was quite sinister without even people knowing that it was sinister.
Of course. Yeah.
100%. Yeah. So so this is kind of the start of everything. Around what age did you get in? Was it kind of through your parents? And how was it when you first experienced it?
Oh yeah, we go into that actually quite a bit in the podcast. It was basically when I was very young, like 5 or 6 years old, 7 years, going into that age where you're just starting to, I don't know, just realizing more and more about the world, exploring more and more about the world and stuff. And when a kid's really supposed to have some stability, and some, education support and all that kind of thing, and some stability in their life. But it's like, instead of that, you're dumped into this whole other world. It's like a secret society, basically. The outside world doesn't know anything about what's going on in there, and they refer to everybody as a systemite, and there's things that happen that make you believe exactly what they're saying, because they can point it out and say, look, this is proof of what's going on, and so we have to hide from the world. So it was like being like living on another, like a whole other planet sometimes, just like when it comes to the way most normal people live their lives, like the way you or I nowadays would live our lives, trying to support a family or whatever, going to work every day, just doing normal shit. This was nothing. It was nothing like that. It was, we were told that was basically, that was Satan's system, and that's the road to damnation, right? So it was all about going in another direction,
And it was like you sort of live on a commune sort of thing, or what?
Well, there's little communes everywhere, little houses, they're little stash houses where you've got, I don't know how many bedroom house with like 30 or 40 people living in it, and it's I don't know. Everything's scheduled. Everything's dictated, and you really don't make any choices for yourself.
Wow. And so then, this cult itself, did it have like one of those charismatic psycho leaders, or sort of what was the the focus?
Moses David, man. Grandpa. That's what we were told to call him. He was our grandpa. This isn't some guy. That's your grandpa.
And he was alive when you were a part of it.
Oh yeah, I got to hear his voice a few times. Once in a while we'd get a tape. We get mailed a tape with a message from from Grandpa on it. We'd all sit around. Oh boy, we get to hear Grandpa's voice tonight, man! And oh my God, yeah, I'd listen to every fucking word he said, man. Every word.
Wow. And so, where was he allegedly? Like what?
Always on the run. Apparently, he was one of the world's most wanted men, or the FBI's most wanted man, or whatever, because he's saving kids and doing all this stuff and fighting the Antichrist and shit. So we never really knew where he was, but we were given an address to like a distribution center in Greece somewhere, right?
In Greece,
and and you'd mail Greece, you'd send your money to Greece, and they'd send you back, all the pamphlets and the new books coming out. And, yeah. Oh yeah.
The parallels to L. Ron Hubbard and his sea fleet are very, very they're very similar to me. Hearing that when he was basically running Scientology on the run, he would stay in certain countries for like 6 weeks at a time and then bail because the authorities are going to come after him. So he'd just go float in international waters, but run this gigantic culty church thing. That's wild.
Oh yeah, no, from what I understood, I spoke to one of his quote unquote daughters years later, and she told me they were living in mansions on the beach,
Huh.
And and so we're living in a car at times. He's living in a fucking mansion, like she showed me pictures of this mansion. She linked me a video of this mansion. It was called the House of the Open Pussy. Yeah. And
hey, weird. That's what my house is called too. Anyway.
No, it was a shocker to us because we're being told he's living in squalor, on the run, hiding from the feds and shit, and the Antichrist is looking for him, but no, he's just living in a mansion on the beach somewhere for quite a long time apparently,
that checks out, right?
That
would check out because he's like, I got to keep the sympathy behind me to keep these people believing, right?
Oh yeah. And he always wore like a black sackcloth. I don't know. He's like a thick black. He never wore any fancy stuff when he was addressing his people. But who knows what he actually rolled like? Like you never know. Yeah.
Wow, that's
wild.
What a childhood. So then your parents got into it, I guess, and then obviously then brought you in, or were they in it from the beginning, or how does that happen?
Apparently they were in it before I was even born. At least my mother was, doing missionary work in Colombia and all this other stuff, and that's where she met my dad. So yeah, before I was even born, she, like my mother, I know, was in it, and so was my dad. But I think my dad was on the other side of the world at the time. Well, not my biological dad, but my adopted dad was on the other side of the world. And when he came into the picture, that's when we all just kind of went, okay, we're going to move into this cult now, Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm just reading up on his Wikipedia page here. Also known as King David, Moses, David, Father David, Dad, or Grandpa to followers. The Family International. Jeez. Is this the one you were telling me about, Jeremy? I remember you telling me about a cult, but I don't remember if it was this one.
In our podcast?
It was either in the podcast or separately. I don't remember.
I don't know. It could have either been that, or we could have been talking about the Brethren in Oxbow.
That's the Brethren. Yeah. I'm getting confused with all these different cults all over the place.
So many cults.
All the cults on cults on cults. The Two Idiots podcast is sponsored by Manscaped, the global leaders in men's below-the-waist grooming. Manscaped offers precision-engineered tools for your family jewels and is now available in USA, Canada, the UK, Australia, New Zealand, and the EU. That's the European Union for you less cultured folk. We have an exclusive offer for our audience. Use code IDIOTS, IDIOTS, to get 20% off and free shipping at manscaped.com. Join the movement and the other 2 million men who trust Manscaped.
Now, Reg, did you know that one guy every hour, every day is diagnosed with testicular cancer? Wow. So this is a reminder to all the men listening, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Fondle them.
Feel them up, baby. Manscaped, in addition to providing the right tools and solutions for safe and easy manscaping, has partnered with the Testicular Cancer Society to spread awareness for men's health and early cancer detection. Together, TCS and Manscaped are committed to raising awareness for the most common form of cancer in men aged 15 to 35 and giving support for fighters, survivors, and families impacted by testicular cancer as part of their We Save Balls initiative.
Smart. Let's save them balls. I have a friend personally who had a nut removed because of a little bit of testicular cancer. So while you're down there cleaning up your sack, why not go ahead, give them a little investigation for lumps, changes in size, or any pain. I think we can all agree it's pretty fun playing with your balls anyway. So while you're down there, molesting yourself, make sure you give it a little once over. Make sure there's no dents in the undercarriage. Right?
Hey, don't be afraid. Get your partner in on the fun if you have to.
Yeah, there you go. Make it an experience. Make it a wonderful adventure. Manscaped recommends you check yourself once a month. If you do feel any lumps or swelling, give your doctors a call. In addition, to checking yourself regularly, you want to make sure your sack is looking fresh and clean with Manscaped Perfect Package 3.0. Inside the Perfect Package, you'll find their electric trimmer called the Lawnmower 3.0. This waterproof trimmer features skin-safe technology and to reduce cuts to the sack.
All liquid formulations use one of the best ingredients. Some of these liquid tools include the Crop Preserver, an anti-chafing deodorant for your balls, the Crop Reviver, a spray-on ball toner and refresher, and the Perfect Package 3.0 also includes an anti-chafing performance boxers that keep your package cool and fresh. Join the Manscaped movement and start taking care of your balls today. Get 20% off and free shipping with code IDIOTS at manscaped.com. Always use the right tools for the job.
That's right. Make sure you check yourself out, feel yourself up, and while you're there, clean yourself up. Get 20% off and free shipping with code IDIOTS at manscaped.com. That's 20% off and free shipping with code IDIOTS at manscaped.com. Your balls will thank you. It's Jesus Christ.
So I do have to ask though, where do the UFOs come in? Sex cult I can get. That happens all the time, right? What do they do with UFOs?
Yeah, so the UFOs are both demons or angels, or the Antichrist's super top secret like warplanes, basically. And
which is super cool.
Basically, we were told that when we died, and it was going to be soon, we were going to be killed very soon. The Antichrist is coming, so you probably won't make it past the age of 14. If you're lucky, you'll get to 14 years old when you're crucified or whatever, right?
Right.
And so when you die, and if you're good and if you follow what Moses David says, and you hold on to your crown for Jesus, right? Then you get to fly around the skies like a fucking UFO. You get to zip around in outer space, going to other worlds and shit. But only if you stay faithful. You give that up, and you're never going to have your UFO or whatever, right? So the UFOs come in like that. So you see UFOs, it's either angels flying across the sky or demons, And basically, they said that so the more beautiful the UFO, it's hard to tell because it could be a trick by Satan. Or it could be, God coming to visit you in a UFO on a spirit trip or whatever, right? They had,
wow.
So they would introduce that to you really. And when you're a kid, man, that shit fucking blows. It's a fascinating. Oh wow, man, fucking UFO! Yeah. I get to fly a fucking UFO. You tell that to a little. I mean, come on, that's fucking mean, right? That's like telling the world, hey, you're gonna have a house on the moon one day, and then all you get is cellular phone. So it's the same kind of thing, right? It was they would right away. They'd introduce outer space and space travel and UFOs. Just, I think that was, they got right into it as soon as you were in it, man. Talking 100%. About that shit.
They get the imagination going.
That'd be so much better. That, like, I grew up Christian, pretty conservative sect of, but pretty well within the Christianness. Like, it wasn't definitely not like a cult like that, but when you're a kid and you hear, the fire and brimstone stuff, or the hey, don't masturbate stuff, or the hey, be a good kid stuff, you're like, yeah, okay. Then you hear about angels and God and stuff, and you're like, it's kind of neat, I guess. But man, if they included like death rays and laser beams and UFO races, and
that'll be awake in church.
Yeah, I'd be totally there.
I think that was important too, because what is church known for? Yeah, a place to nap on a Sunday, basically. Boring as shit, man. Right? Yeah. So it's like, okay, let's introduce UFOs and sex into it, and people are just going to eat it up.
And it's another relationship to L. Ron Hubbard, and that because it's apparently his first iteration didn't involve all the Xenu and the volcanoes and aliens and stuff until like his second or third iteration of kind of, I guess, Scientology is the way I understand it. But when you hear that, they just pair so nicely together. Like, you got your Xenus and all this other crap, and then the what are they? The Children of God have their pod racers on.
You tell me I get to pod race in your church, I'm in.
Yeah. Does that mean that Star Wars is in that universe?
Well, no, it was like basically you had lights, like if you see like a single white light flying through the sky, right, that's like one of the good guys, because it's just enough of a UFO to fit around a human body. It's just like a bubble of light that you fly in, right? But if you see one that's like all, mechanical and shit. That's one of the Antichrists, like, secret weapons that he's out hunting the Christians down with or whatever, right? if you see really beautiful lights that are doing all kinds of crazy shit, that's satanic trickery. That's that's angels trying to look, or demons trying to look like angels and be beautiful, and to deceive the masses, right? Like, the more extravagant the UFO, the more people that see it, it's most likely the work of the devil. But if you just see like a random light once in a while, that's one of the good guys, because the good guys don't need to be all flamboyant and shit. They're just there to get their job done, right? They're stronger, right, and they're better, so they don't need to be all flashy, right?
Yeah,
more powerful.
Very matter of fact. That's, well. Speaking of the brethren, I don't know if this is the same one, but apparently, this David Berg guy, or the Moses David, whatever. Apparently, his parents, or many of his forefathers as well, both of his parents were, some of them were members of the Dunkards. I don't know what that is, but they're a conservative offshoot of the Church of the Brethren. So maybe there's another tie there that, the Oxbow cult is related to the the Children of God cult.
Oh, well, you never know. Yeah.
So many threads.
Cults,
so many threads.
cults.
Yeah.
Cults.
Well,
create cults.
Yeah, cults bleed cults. No kidding. Well, I mean, it's like anything, right? Like, trauma leads to trauma. So it'd be very similar that one might lead into the other.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's hard. It's a hard life to get out of, because when everything's dictated and you're told how to live your life, you're told what to think and everything. When you're out of that, you don't know what the fuck you're doing anymore.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. So tell us a little about that. When did you detach yourself? I assume it's still a thing. Like, the cult is still around, and you're just not a part of it anymore.
Oh yeah, no. I there was a while I tried to get back, right, because I didn't know how to live. Like, I was all of a sudden I'm out in the Flatlander world, the systemite world, right, and none of it made sense. And so I tried to go back a few times, but it was too late. Like, if you're out, there's no way to keep track of it. They change their names constantly. They change their fucking addresses constantly, right? So you're out.
Right.
There's no going back into it, and basically, the last I heard is that they're more active in South America now, right? That was like, I don't know, a few years ago anyway, like 10 years ago maybe, they were big in South America, but I don't know if they still are, because like I said, they just keep moving around.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Still has a website, and it appears that they're still active.
Yeah, they have a new leader, I was reading too.
Yeah, the wife of Moses David, she took over when he died.
How very progressive of them. That's good.
Yeah.
We have a female, finally, 202021, we have female cult leaders. Enough of this,
Right.
The male-dominated cultness.
Down with the patriarchy.
It's her and her husband, but she's the leader because she's the one that was with Moses David, so she's the one with the she's the holy one, right? She was with Moses. So yeah,
we're all about equal opportunity, equality.
Yeah.
That's great. I want to quickly read this. So basically, again, on the Family International Wikipedia page, the overview. This is fun. TFI, the Family International, initially spread a message of salvation, apocalypticism, spiritual, quote, revolution and happiness, and distrust of the outside world, which the members called the system. In 1976, it began a method of evangelicism called flirty fishing that used sex to show God's love and mercy and win converts, resulting in controversy. TFI's founder and prophetic leader, David Berg, who was also Moses David, gave himself the titles of King, the last end-time prophet, Moses, and David. He communicated with his followers via Mo letters, letters of instruction and counsel, a myriad, blah, 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 until his death in 1994. But just the fact that flirty fishing...
Well, yeah, can you elaborate at all on what the hell flirty fishing is?
Yeah, basically the leader, Moses David, and his daughter had this weird experience during one of her, I don't know, she was out witnessing I can't remember which country, it's like an Arab country, and so she's trying to bring Christianity there, and she ends up sleeping with one of these guys and bringing him to Jesus or whatever, right? And then she phones her dad, Moses David, and he's like, he's just had some vision And he's like, oh, you know, look, we've had this vision together. Wow, like let's get it out there. It's like we'll use sex to, you know, bring people to the fold, you know, because it's such a powerful thing, you know. Who would turn that down, right? So it's like he told everybody like all these instructions to start doing flirty fishing was basically just go out and find people to have sex with, but when you're having sex with them, you got to say certain things and you got to do certain things and try to get them to convert, you know. And one, it was like, I remember there was an incident where a woman in the family was actually murdered. Some guy murdered her while she was flirty fishing, and the letter came out afterwards saying that the reason it happened is because she wasn't paying her tithes. So God wasn't going to protect her because she wasn't giving her money to Moses David, not enough money.
Right? She wasn't paying her extortion fees.
Yeah, so that's the only reason she was murdered. So don't forget to pay your fees, right? Yeah. And I'm just like, what the fuck, right? And that didn't make any sense because I
think Costco has a similar practice.
Oh yeah. Well, no, it scared me because I remember family members going flirty fishing. They'd be getting all done up to go out to the bars and shit and bringing people home and shit. And I'm just like, I was scared of murderers because I just like the Mo letter was all about, you know, don't pay your tithes and you get murdered. Right. So, right. It wasn't an easy thing to deal with. And apparently it did cause a lot of controversy in the cult because people didn't feel right about it, you know, and they had it going for a little while. And eventually they shut it down, and he's like, "Oh, just make sure you return all your Mo letters about it." So there's like no evidence, I guess, but a lot of people just kept that shit, right? But yeah, it's not like, and some people kept doing it too. It's not like some people stopped because basically some of these cult houses were just basically running a whorehouse, and they were just raking in shitloads of money,
and sex is fun.
Women. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Just picture you're laying there with some girl who's in this cult, and he hears, "Hey, baby, you want to turn into a UFO when you die?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, who knows, man?
Sex and UFOs. That's the way to heaven.
I'm in.
That's Nirvana. Yeah, that's
wow.
No.
Yeah,
that blows my mind.
Yeah, it is. It's so that was around for a while. By the time I was coming into the cult, though, it wasn't as prevalent. Like people were still dabbling with it.
Ended.
Yeah, basically, right. So, and I remember kind of towards the end of it, you know, because I was still in the cult at the time, right? So, yeah.
I'm reading on the, because there's a whole Wikipedia page on flirty fishing, which is just delightful. If those of you that are interested. So, but basically it's derived from Matthew's 4:19, in which Jesus tells two fishermen that he'll make fishers of men, which is, I'm pretty sure, not what Matthew meant by that. But he's just basically, the targeted men were called fish. The cult published several documents with exact instructions. And that women who objected to being with the cult itself, bluntly described as, quote, God's whores or hookers for Jesus, were admonished to not let self and pride enter in, and reminded that their body did not really belong to them. Because according to their interpretation of 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20, it had been, quote, bought by Jesus through his crucifixion with, quote, a price.
Yeah. Yeah.
Basically. Wow. Oh, yeah. That's great. See, this is just the beauty of
like hookers for Jesus has to go on a t-shirt.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Yeah. No, I'm totally down. Just it won't sell well where we live, but that would be worth it.
It'd be fun walking around with it on, though.
Yeah. It's just, but it just goes to show that with the 2H podcast, our show is, it's always great that we can have conversations with people that may or may not think they have interesting stories, but everybody's life is so different, right? Like Randy and I grew up, and I thought my life was a certain way or something as a kid, and I had my own strife and my own issues, and of course we all get lost in our own shit, and I'm sure Randy and Jeremy and all of you feel the same. But then when when you hear that, it's like, Christian, I think you win.
Okay. Well, hey, send me my medal in the mail. Does it come with a check? Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it might.
No, it's the thing is that it did take. They would use sex against you as well, right?
Mm.
Like it did take a dark turn because they make you want it so bad. They just flood everything. Like it's in these comics that you're supposed to read when you're a kid, you know, and it's they saturate your whole reality with sex, right? And you're not even 10 years old yet, right?
Right.
And then and you're seeing kids your age having sex as well, right? And then they go, oh well, you don't love Jesus enough, so you don't get to do this, you know. Now when you're in the cult, you don't understand that that's all just fucked up, right? All
Right.
of it. It's
Oh
just
my God.
it's a goddamn shitty mess. But when
I
you're
don't want
out,
to totally
you go,
interrupt,
holy fuck.
but I found the comics.
Oh yeah, yeah. The True Comics, you found them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna share my screen here. Hold on. Hold the phone. Everybody needs to see this.
Christ.
Yeah.
That is alarming. Okay, folks. So there's, for those that are listening, there's a picture of Jesus Christ just making out with some lady, and it
As he
reads,
did.
"Receiving Jesus is like sexually going all the way. You can say to a guy you're trying to win to the Lord, as it's as if you were offering myself to you right now, to love all the way, and you look at me, you strip me, you caress me, you praise my beauty, you say I'm wonderful, I love you, thank you, this is wonderful, and you even let me make you happy and love you and make you feel good. But God said, well, okay, this is just so icky. But look at all these things. It's like God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The devil
What?
hates sex.
Fuck.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. This is
Yeah,
crazy.
man. So I'm what, 7 years old at the time when I'm supposed to read this shit, you know? Like, would you go to any 7-year-old kid and say, hey, you should check this out?
No.
Hey, kid, you want Captain
it's fucked
America or the freaky sex comics?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, give it a couple years. Maybe get
You
both.
know, well,
Wow.
and that's the thing is like little kids aren't supposed to be seeing that shit.
No.
But I remember the first time I saw a stripper was when I was like 6 or 7 years old.
That's
You know?
crazy.
And it was a cult. These were cult strippers, man. But like there were little kids with me, and there was little kids stripping. And man, like, dude, like again, you're told this is normal. Everybody at that cult, there's hundreds of people, and they're like, oh no, this is what Jesus wants, man. This is you loving Jesus. But there was a part of me that was like, what the fuck is going on? This is like, what?
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. You know, this something just doesn't feel right.
There's something in between there that, because me growing up in what I was in, and then now what you're growing in, there's a happy medium there where you don't need to shame people for doing like natural, like as you're growing, like masturbating and things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or being sex positive in a responsible way. There's a medium.
Right.
there,
Yeah,
but,
in a responsible way is the key. Right?
Yeah, but you don't need to subject children to Jesus porn.
No.
Wow.
It's fucked up.
Wow. So then how did you, so as now I presume you're an adult.
Oh yeah.
So since when you left the church, I can't help but think that you had to maybe go through some therapy or work through the trauma of all that. How's that process been?
It only actually started a couple of years ago. Basically,
Okay.
the Jehovah Witness church ripped me out of that cult, and then just tried to stuff another religion down my throat like immediately. There was no therapy. They just said, "Oh, just forget about everything that just happened. Pretend it didn't happen. Now come to our church instead. This is the right way to believe." You know,
No.
So you're going from one hardcore religion to another, right?
Yeah.
And there's no therapy because they don't want to talk about what happened to you, and they want to pretend like it didn't happen because they don't want to have to open that can, right? Like it's like, no, we're not dealing with that, right? So there was zero therapy for any of it, and up until I started just like realizing just how fucked up everything was, that I started trying to work on it myself, right? Because I realized that nobody was, therapy's like, this cab driver yelled at me, and I was just so distraught by it. And, tell me all about the cab driver, sir. This is like nobody wanted to touch this kind of therapy, right? Like this is what happened was it was really, really fucked up, right? So they just kind of let it lie, and my whole family was just like, all right, we're gonna set you here with your grandmother, and best of luck. Fuck yourself. We're out. You know, they all moved to another province and just left me there. They're like, here, best of luck. Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't show me how to make money. They didn't tell me how, like, what I was supposed to do in this world. It was just like, here, stay with your grandma. Best of luck. We're gonna go be millionaires out in BC. You know, and just that was it.
And why didn't they take you with them?
Oh, because I was, it was too much of a burden. They couldn't handle having me around. I had all these issues that they didn't want to deal with. Right? Like all these weird questions and beliefs. I'm talking about UFOs and shit, and they're Jehovah Witnesses. They're losing their goddamn minds trying to deal with the UFO questions that I had. Like, how come you guys don't believe in UFOs? And where's all the UFOs in your Christian literature? And like, there's no such thing as UFOs, right? Oh man.
What kind of weird Bibles are you guys reading that don't have UFOs? And
yeah, exactly, right? It's like it's a culture shock because you're going from one like literally a reality. It's wrapped around you. There's nothing else to believe in because you're not supposed to take part in what the system is.
Yeah,
right.
So you're living in Moses David's little bubble. Right? You go outside of that, you don't know what the fuck's going on anymore. Right? So did
your family leave the Children of God as well, or just you?
Well, basically, it took my mother passing away from cancer. She was trying to heal her cancer with faith, because she was convinced Jesus would just cure her cancer.
Really well, from what I've heard. So it's pretty effective.
Oh yeah, from what I had understood, that she had the cancer before I was even born.
Mm.
Oh. And she just wasn't doing. She was just not thinking about it and ignoring it, right? And so when she passed, before she died, she realized because she's like, I can't believe, she realized how fucked up everything was for her kids. And she's like, I don't want to leave my kids in this goddamn cult. Right. So she reached out to my other family and just said, like, please, like, get these kids out of this it's crazy. It's what they're in. Like, and she didn't really realize it till I guess it was like a little bit too late, but at least she tried. Right. And but when she passed, it took all that just insanity, all that chaos to just rip us out of that world, and then that was it, it was just done.
Unreal.
Yeah.
But again, it does go to show how malleable and how, I guess, adaptive humans are. The fact that you can go through that, we can all go through our own stuff and come out the other side. It's and also of what we'll believe. What people will be conditioned to believe is just mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, and it's amazing what people will do for a charismatic leader.
No kidding. I mean, 100%. But frankly, charismatic leader and sex and probably drugs and aliens. I mean, that's the dream.
Oh yeah.
Frankly, I've been waiting for the podcast to reach that point so that we can go full time into 100%. Just sex and aliens. But
I actually, that's the thing is, I don't know. Upon leaving the cult is when things became like, I mean, I remember paranormal shit happening in the cult.
Okay.
Like I remember experiencing shit that was unexplainable, but it was when I got out that things got even, I don't know, like I started experiencing even more bizarre shit, terrifying shit that I just never imagined in my entire life that I would ever see something like this. And it had nothing to do with what the cult had ever told us. Like I don't remember ever being told about any of this shit by the cult. It was just like I started to become aware of things. I started to experience strange things, but it was never just me. There would be other people there. Like it was usually experienced by more than one person,
Okay.
So yeah, it started to get strange,
Like what? Give us an example.
Well, entities. I started to experience, and like I remember before I was in the cult, I experienced an entity. I never experienced any in the cult because I do believe that when it comes to like a spiritual energy, like if there's a bubble of spiritual energy, it's going to dissipate like any other kind of energy in its wake. Right, especially if it's strong enough, right? Regardless of what those people believe in, just the power of believing in something.
Well, and in your typical entities, right, are supposed to be like, if anything related to Jesus, they don't like it. They don't want to be around.
Yeah, exactly, right. And so when I was in that bubble of reality, like I don't remember experiencing anything. When I was out again, it was I started to like become more aware of it again, or I start to have these weird things happen that I couldn't explain, it freaked people out. It freaked me out the most. But like when I'm trying to tell people about it, I was like, oh my God, this just happened. And they're like, well, you're just a kid and you got an overactive imagination. Oh, well, my brother saw it. My cousin saw it. We all saw it. No, you didn't. You're just kids and you're just playing and you have an overactive imagination. That's what they always chalk it up to. Right. So, yeah.
So I'm a known skeptic of things.
Yeah. Reg and I are opposite ends of the spectrum here, because I'm full on believer in like UFOs and ghosts and shit, and he's kind of on the other side of it.
I'm not saying that there's not a thing, and I don't want to discount anything you're saying, but I'm just curious, like specifically, kind of what I don't know what an entity means in this context.
Okay.
So maybe lay that down.
Yeah, like what's one that really gave you a spook? I mean, leave stuff for your show, obviously, but like what's one that really kind of
give it to us all? We want all of it.
The earliest entity, like the first entity I ever encountered, just looked like when I first saw it, like I was laying in bed, I'm a little kid, and we all sleep in the same room. Me and my brother, we sleep in the same room. We're just little guys at the time, right? But I could remember things. I remember my toys and all that shit from that time. And I heard something first. It got my attention, like it sounded like a ball bouncing. But when I looked over, it was like a white light about the size of like a tennis ball that was just bouncing, like on the ground, just bouncing. And it wasn't a light that shone. It was just like this white thing. Like it didn't produce any light, but you could see it through anything, right? You could just see this white thing. And so it's bouncing at first, and then it turns into a white line, like a stick. And then that white stick turns into a triangle. And then that triangle turns into like a rectangle that turns into a circle that then turns into like a flower that then turns into like a cat that then starts becoming more and more like demonic. Right. And it's just forming into this hideous thing that then comes straight at me and then dissipates.
Wow.
And I'm just like, wow, and I'm terrified. And this started happening like on a very regular basis. And I thought everybody just had this experience. This is something everybody saw, right? So I go to my mom and I'm like, what am I supposed to do about the white sticks? And she's like, what are you talking about? Right? What white sticks are you talking about? It's just like, I keep seeing this white stick in my room and it keeps turning into this monster that fucking, I'm just like, what am I supposed to do about it? Like, she's like, well, just ignore it. And if you're not ready to see it, then just don't see it, right? Just ignore it, right? Try to focus on something else, right? Focus on something else. So I keep seeing it and I'm like, okay, I remember what mom said, just focus on something else. So I look over and my brother is sleeping on over on this other bed. And I just look at the back of his head and I'm just looking at the back of his head, pretending I don't see this thing turning, into a stick, into a circle, whatever, and then coming at me, and it keeps trying to get my attention. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to look. I'm not going to look. Every night, night after night after night. And it was I couldn't sleep. It was terrifying. So finally I'm just laying there looking at the back of my brother's head, just focusing on the fact that I don't see you anymore. You're not there. I don't have to be scared of you, because it's never physically hurt me. It's just fucking terrifying. Right.
Oh, yeah.
So all of a sudden I look over and it's just sitting there bouncing again, but now it's not doing anything. It's just sitting there bouncing. And it's just kind of beckoning to me. Right. Like,
right.
It just wants it. But it's like, why aren't you paying attention? Right. So I start to think of something, and then it starts to form my thought. So if I want it to turn into something, then it turns into something. And every time it would start to go monstrous, I would turn it back the other way. And so it started to interact with me. And then at a certain point, I don't know why, but it was like, it kept becoming more and more complex shapes and things. Like I remember one time it became like what looked like a train coming towards me. Right. But it's all made out of a single white line. Like no matter what it turned into, it was all made out of a single white line. There was no mass to it. There was no, like you could see directly through it because it's just a bunch of white lines in the shape of something. Right.
Right. And
the final shape it took, the last night I saw it, when it was just trying to interact, it was just interact like, what do you want me to become? I finally, I don't know, I remember laughing at a certain point, and that's when this white stick, whatever it was, turned into a man with a hat, like a man in a suit and a hat carrying a briefcase, who was just standing there staring at me, who then just kind of walked toward me and again dissipated like it always did. but then it never
Right.
came back. But
It's
I
like
didn't want it to turn into a man with a hat and a suit.
Well, yeah.
It just,
It's,
yeah.
it's like a
No,
boggart
I didn't tell-
from Harry Potter. You just need
It
to
was
laugh
fucked
at it
up.
and it goes away.
But that's the thing. It was like that was the last time I saw it. When I actually interacted with it.
Right.
That was the last time, and that would like that to me. That was like an entity of some kind, but I don't know it because I've heard people talk about stick people and whatever. But this was just a single white, like a ball that became a stick that became a square. You know, it's like I don't know. It's hard to explain. That was one of the first like unexplainable things I encountered. But like that was when I was just a little guy, and before I even like, went into the cult at all. You know.
Oh,
Right.
so okay.
So
Yeah.
once you go in, did you have any experience? You said you didn't really have anything while you were in, but then once you got out,
Well,
did
we
it
did,
intensify?
but we did have some experiences in, but not. I never saw that white stick again. You know,
Right.
I never saw that thing again. But we had some other experiences, and some of them were just out and out terrifying, like to the point where we would wake up and our parents are packing, saying, "Yeah, we're leaving, and we're getting out of this fucking house like right now." You know, because
Like
they
some
had
straight up
experienced-
poltergeist shit.
Well, yeah, and I won't go into the specifics of who saw what, but it was late at night, and we were traveling through Newfoundland, and we stayed at a hotel. And in this hotel, like I went to sleep just fine. It was like this shitty little. I was exhausted, right? But apparently, somebody couldn't sleep, and while they were laying there awake trying to sleep, this mass came up out of the bathtub drain that turned into like basically the hat, like a man with a hat, like a shadow man, like the hat man, basically, that came out and started to tickle them. And
Dear
it was
God.
so like, and it just tickled them for like the longest time until they just started screaming, you know.
Yeah.
And then, and I'm just past. I wake up to just like we're leaving, we're packing. I'm like, I want to sleep. No, we're getting the fuck out of here right now. Right, and that's yeah. And they wouldn't talk about it for weeks, but it was traumatic for them what they saw, because it was like they thought it was a dream they couldn't wake up from or something like that, but it was very much real, and I do believe somebody woke up and saw it as well. So
Right.
it was like we would encounter certain things like that, like demonic activity is what they called it, right? Like there's demons here, right? We have to leave, right? So yeah.
Fuck.
Interesting.
Like-
Once you were out of the religious aura, did things like intensify for you, or did they kind of calm
Yeah,
down?
I actually I won't go into it because I do believe I shared the story of Jeremy, but I did come face to face with what some people would call nowadays. I've heard people referring to them just as goblins.
Right.
Yeah, and all I could say is that it was one of the single most terrifying things that I had ever encountered in my life.
No kidding. Well, folks, we need to listen to Christian Stories, apparently. The
Clearly.
podcast is dropping on May 1st everywhere. 'Cause right? May 1st? Am I right?
Yeah.
May 1st. Okay. Fuck me.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I can't wait to hear that one.
That's insane. So, okay. So, I think we've boiled down. We've gotten enough of the gist of the life of Christian Richman, which is bananas.
Wild.
Oh
So let's maybe go to the other technical side. Well, first of all, before we
yeah,
move
for
there,
sure.
Jeremy, tell us, do you have any paranormal activity stories you want to touch on before we move on?
I would love to say yes, because I'm a believer, but I have never seen a damn thing.
That's fair.
One day I was sitting in my living room and some sunglasses fell off our water cooler, but I think it was just like
Just happens. Just happened. Gravity is the great poltergeist.
Oh yeah.
No, I'm in the same boat. I've never had folks. If you're listening, we did an episode with the Paranormies before they blew up. That was episode 90 something, whatever. So go back and check that out. Randy and I go pretty deep on kind of our paranormal
Our history with paranormal
stances.
activity.
But long story short, I've never experienced anything, and I don't know if that's because I'm not looking for it. I don't care for it. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So maybe it's a sort of thing that if I don't open that gate, then things might be happening, and I just don't know. Right? Who knows?
Right.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I'm on the other end where I've had a few experiences in my life, so I think that's why I'm more open to the possibilities of it.
yeah, I've never been ghostly tickled though, so that would be an interesting experience.
Oh yeah. But even the thought of it gives me the creeps now.
Yeah, yeah. I know a buddy
Yeah.
who has who has had like night terrors and or a sleep paralysis. That's what it is. And
Yeah.
when he's talking about that, like, whoa, when you hear the stories of, you know, people, they're having dreams of like a demon monster on their chest staring them in the eyes, and they're
Yeah.
awake or whatever, and they can't move. They can't do anything.
Right,
Like
brain's awake, body's asleep.
Ugh, yeah, I can't imagine.
That's wild.
Anyway, so so basically that's the gist, folks. If you've listened this long, which I don't know how you couldn't, because that's very compelling. Anyone that says otherwise is a damn liar. So props to you guys for starting the show. Like I said,
100%.
lots of people do podcasts or want to do podcasts, and it either never happens or it starts and then fizzles. So, you know, what's the plan? So we're dropping May 1st. Is it weekly? Is it kind of what's the situation been like?
So, basically, we're viewing this one as more of like a docu-series because
Okay.
we think, again, once all the stories are out, there's not much more, unless, you know, we decide to go on further with some conversations and stuff. I did want to add that it was actually your guys' podcast with the paranormal that basically got us started on this.
Right.
Feel definitely because, you know, I got in contact with paranormals there about a video that Christian had that we sent, and then they started talking a bit, but eventually we just kind of got the idea of like, well, why don't we tell your stories as podcast? So that's how it started.
Hold up, that video wasn't you, Christian, was it? That was just a video that you had.
Oh, you mean the poltergeist activity one?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Christian.
With like
Is
the
that the one you're
cupboard
talking-
flopping and with the beaded.
Oh yeah,
curtain.
no. That was actually part of a documentary I was working on in a small town of Drayton Valley. Well, it's not that small, you know, but the town of Drayton Valley, known for a lot of paranormal activity, but people don't like to talk about it. But I was trying to do like a documentary investigation about the paranormal activity, and that's one of the clips that got sent to me by a guy that lives just on the outside of the Drayton Valley area. Right. And yeah, it happened to him one late at night. It's actually, that's going to be featured on that Ozzy Osbourne TV show, The Osbournes Want to Believe.
I didn't know they were making one. Okay.
Yeah, they're going to be showing that on there because it is a compelling clip. And anyway, I don't know. I even went out to the guy's place with a video camera, and like I was able to account for how he could have pulled, like, say he was hoaxing it, and I don't want to say he was hoaxing it or not because I wasn't there. And if it's a terrifying ghostly experience, I'm not trying to demean it in any way. Right. But just I myself am a hardcore skeptic because a lot of people have tried to pull the wool over my eyes in my life, right? So like, I believe real hard these days. Like, so I went out there to kind of see if I could find a way that he could have faked. I found a way he could have faked like the beads moving, but the cupboard I couldn't account for. Right, I was just like, I don't fucking know how he could have done that because I recorded the whole thing, videotaped the whole thing, right? To just try kind of go over it afterward, see how could he have faked this, right? And I was like, or how would say I wanted to duplicate that for a movie? How would I fake that? You know, and that's kind of what I went out there with the mindset of, right? But, right. Yeah. So, because yeah, like I said, I tend to be a little more on the skeptical side. Regardless of the things that have happened to me, you know?
Yeah. Well, and it's good to have in, you know, cases of paranormal things like that, it's good to have the questioning attitude because you don't want to just go whole hog into like, okay, yeah, cool, that's it, right? Like you should be going out to find ways to find out if it's genuine or not, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, especially if you've been burned for your whole life.
Oh, yeah. And I've had people try to tell me that supernatural shit happened to them, and then later on they're just like, I just made it all up, you know? I'm just like, well, fuck's sake, man, like you know. So I'm just like, all right, I'm like, from now on, you know, show me something, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Because the reason I believe what I believe is because I've seen it with my own eyes.
100%.
You know, so yeah, it's I'm not a religious guy, not anymore, not after what happened, right? So if I see something, I'm gonna that's when I believe it.
For sure.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, so then, even if it's a limited series, kind of what's the plan? Are you going to be dropping it? How frequently? Kind of how many episodes you got in the tank? How many are you planning on hitting?
Well, I'm currently working on episode 2 right now, but just doing the editing and finding. We do a lot of inserts of information. So looking through that. There's no real. I don't think we've really set a timeline of we want one out every week or whatever. It just kind of, whenever Christian and I have time, we sit down and it's usually a late night talk, hours, and then we go from there. And
cool.
Perfect.
Cool. I'm here for it because that there's much that I want to learn. So I hope that you guys go a while and that people listen to it. Like basically this episode is kind of a long-winded promo for their podcast. So folks, if you're enjoying any part of this, be sure to go over. Is it live that people can subscribe already or not yet?
Oh, you can go subscribe. So we're using the Anchor platform right now. So it's anchor.fm/Christian Stories. And there's the extra S in there. It's not Christian Stories, it's Christian Stories. Kind of what we're going for. But yeah. We also have an Instagram page, so that's I believe it's at Christian Stories, or is it Christian __ stories? I'd have to look that up.
I don't remember. Oh yeah, you're up on. You can actually, folks can also go to Apple Podcasts as well. I just looked it up. You can hit subscribe, like this right there. You see that? You see that right there? Subscribe.
Yeah,
all right, so I'm
Christians _stories on Instagram.
Oh, but yeah, we're excited for May 1st.
May 1st.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it will hopefully be periodically released kind of regularly, or you're just going to hope for the best, or what?
Well, we're going to try somewhat regularly, but I mean, obviously, we're on our time, so.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Well, props to you guys for doing it and putting this thing together, and for you, Christian, for being frankly brave enough to come out and tell stories like this, because there's a lot of people that would just think you're a kook and do whatever, but I think it's it's genuinely very, very awesome of you to get this story out and to talk about it, and hopefully people get behind it.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate just the fact that you guys are willing to do a show about what we're doing.
100%.
There is nothing we won't do a show about. Don't you worry. I'm also curious, before we go, just to kind of dial it down, have you guys had any UFO stuff that we should hear about?
I could tell you a UFO story. Yeah, it was.
Shoot.
Yeah. And see, well, okay. It's actually the Drayton Valley area, and it was broad daylight. And this is something that just kind of showed me just how close-minded that town was, right? I was again broad fucking daylight, and I'm walking Main Street, and I look up, and there's just this big, it's a UFO, just sitting there in full view of everybody, and nobody gives a shit. No one's looking at it. And I remember I was talking to this one. I was like, dude, do you see that? Do you see that? And he goes, yeah, I do. Fuck off. And he just walks away. I was like, what the hell? Nobody cared. Everyone was like, yeah, whatever. So what? What are you going to do about it? And no one's taking pictures, nothing. Right. And I'm just like, I'm blown away. Right. I'm just like, dude, this is UFO. It's just sitting right there. And I'm just following it for blocks. Right, yeah. Until I finally lost sight of it. Yeah, and everyone was just pretending that it wasn't real.
Huh. Wow. That feels to me like, Randy, like in WandaVision, if something were to happen and all the program people just wouldn't acknowledge it,
Yeah, they just go, oh, that's nice. See you later.
Yeah, nice to see you, dear. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I can't imagine, because we live in a pretty, that kind of town. But I still think people would go crazy with their phones and cameras and being like,
today's day and age, for sure. Yeah.
Well, that's what I thought too, right? and like, well, it's not, like, I don't know, cell phones weren't the greatest cameras at the time. Like, I still had like a flip phone, right? But like,
Right.
Motorola.
still, it's like, yeah, nobody for nobody to even give a shit, right? But I could tell you one more that actually happened just a couple of years ago.
Sure.
If you have time, I don't
Yeah, go
want
ahead.
to give too much time, but this actually happened here in Edmonton. And it's not like I saw a craft or anything, but it was like really early in the morning when like I have to get up and go to work, or I have to get up and go, take care of my little guy. So I had to get up 4 a.m. to travel down to this other, I bus to another town, take care of my kid every morning, right? And every morning I don't see the sunlight for a long time. Right?
Yeah.
You get up, it's early enough, the sun hasn't come up yet, and I get on the train. Every day I get on like the same train car every day, the first train car, because it's like right by the stop. I get on the train, and I'm in the first car, and I'm sitting there, and the train starts moving. We pick up the first stop of people, and we start heading out over the river to cross to the south side of Edmonton. And we get out there, and it's as bright as like it is during the like noon. And I'm just like maybe it's time change, thinking, right? But the sun is like just insanely bright, just shining in these windows. All the windows of the train are huge, right? But it's like not quite blinding, but to the point where you don't want to look at it. And I look to my left, and there's all these people getting up out of their chairs, moving over to the other side of they're all pointing and looking at something outside the window. And I'm just like, I don't really care. It's the same thing happens every day, right? I just get on the train, I go do my thing. So I'm not really thinking anything weird's about to happen, right? But the train's still moving, and I can see like there's certain things passing in front of it from the bridge that are just causing these shadows to pass by. Your vision, it's like kind of interrupting the light. And I just hear this voice say, "Close your eyes. Just close your eyes. Don't open them." Right. And okay, so I close my eyes, and I can still see the light being interrupted as I close my eyes. And I just keep hearing something say, "Don't open your eyes." And it felt like we were on that bridge for 5 minutes because the train kept moving and the lights keep passing by my eyes. And I keep hearing somebody say, "Don't open your eyes." But I'm like, how fucking long is this bridge? Because usually you go over it in like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And we're how many minutes into it, and we're still just moving. And then there's just like, it stops and the train is rolling. And I look around, and it's like an open field where the train stopped that I'm supposed to get off at. And I'm like, holy shit, like I'm already here. Like, usually it takes like another 20 minutes on the train, right?
Right.
And I almost missed my stop. I get off, I get up, and I run off, like get off the train, and I get out the train. I exit the train at the last car of the train. I got on the first car.
Right.
And now when I get off the train, I look, and I'm getting off the last car, and I just remember going, how the fuck did that just happen? Right. And I'm like, the train would have had to complete the entire route and turn around and go the other way. I was trying to work it out in my head. Like, did I miss the stop the first time?
Right.
Or like, how am I exiting the last car on the train when I know, because every goddamn morning I get on the first fucking car, right? So how am I getting off the last car today? And it was too late, and it's just like, I just had to like go, okay, I got to get on with my day now, right? Don't think about it. But when I looked around, there was no sun again, and I like it wasn't light anywhere. Like it was back to that drab, dreary, dark morning that I always had to exist in, because I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every day, right? And it's still winter time. So I got off the train, and the sun is just starting to come up, and I don't know, I froze, and I get to where I'm supposed to be, and everyone's fucking losing their minds. Like, where the fuck have you been? Like, you're so fucking late. Where the fuck have you been? Right? Like, the kids are missing school. This is happening. Everything's falling apart. And I'm just like, oh no, sorry. I guess the train was late. Right? I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Like I did the same thing I did every day. But at some point, there's just this chunk of missing time. And I'm being moved from like, and there's no car doors between these trains. Each train car is a sealed off train car.
Oh, okay.
So I don't understand how I got out of the first car
See, and
the
that's
first
funny
place. How
because
the
that
fuck did I
time
get out of it?
lost is a very common thing in like alien abduction stories. There's always that window of time that seems to be missing.
Yeah. But
Wacky.
I would like to know if anybody out there had a similar experience, because I remember people getting out of their seats and going over to the window and pointing and talking to each other like, what the hell is that? You know?
Right.
Yeah.
So
Huh.
there's cameras on those trains. There has to be, like, I don't know, there has to be somebody out there that had a similar experience. Because
Right.
it was just too weird, you know? So, like, anyway, but yeah, that's something that happened just a couple of years ago.
Well, I think City of Edmonton, if you're listening, we need to we need to
We need
get
some CCTV.
yeah, we need to get some footage here and see what the fuck happened there.
What might have happened, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
who knows, right?
That is wild.
Didn't have any butt probes though or anything. You felt okay?
Well, I felt okay. No hard time walking or nothing after that. No, it's all good.
Like climbing off a horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Jeremy, do you have any UFO stuff?
No.
You're just there, just here to spread the stories, but you're not experiencing anything.
Honestly, what this whole thing is about is I just want to help the best of my ability of getting Christian stories out with it.
Yeah.
100% his stuff, and I just want to help him get it out. Like it,
Love it.
there's such compelling stories. It's just amazing.
Yeah. The human experience is quite
Mm-hmm.
is quite the thing, right? And we're in the same boat. Like we've had people on that people are like, why would you want me to be a guest? And I'm like, well, I don't know. Let's just talk and see what comes out. And then we hit on some gems. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to be famous or that type of shit to have an interesting life, right? So awesome. Well, also real quick before we go, what's the picture that people have been staring at for you, Christian? What's the meaning behind that art?
Oh, that's artwork I started drawing. It's a few years. I don't know. I'm not sure how long I've been drawing it, but it's just an artwork I started forming after I got out of the Jehovah Witness church and all that stuff. After I was like just kind of on my own, I just started drawing that stuff, and it was one way. Basically, that is like the artwork I formed out of it, because it used to be very mechanical and sort of like not very fluid at all. But it actually, like, I got tased. I got tased while I was at work. I was a bouncer for a while, and it changed everything. Like, I got tased, and all of a sudden, like, I started drawing all this weird shit. Like, it opened up some part of my mind, just all that electricity flowing through the body. So I started drawing all these like fluid kinds of things, and then it's just kind of came from that. Just like a way, I don't know. I just started like expressing. I just felt like that's what I needed to draw. Right. Like,
wow. What do they call that? Isn't it like acquired savantism or selective savantism or something, where like the people that get hit in the head with a truck or something and then they can start playing piano and like doing math or something?
Well, the thing is, like, I was drawing it before that. It's just it didn't get to the point where it's at now until after that happened. So, like, I don't know.
The one that Jeremy's showing right now.
Yeah.
I know you can't see it, Christian, but
oh no,
it's
cool. I'm not sure which one it is, but yeah, I've got a few of them.
That looks awesome.
That looks sweet.
Yes.
Looks like a road map almost.
Yeah, it does. I dig it.
Yeah, I've got quite a few.
Well, maybe we'll have to commission one. Get one done.
Go.
Oh yeah, you never know. That's it's always best. Like, when I draw them, I have to be around. Like, if I'm drawing it for somebody, I usually have to be around them while I draw it. I don't know. It's hard to explain, right? So
sure.
Yeah.
No, I can see that.
Well, it looks great. So again, people, City of Edmonton, if you're listening and you want some really cool looking art done, go meet up with Christian and get yourself some drawing. But all right, folks. Well, this has been a blast. Thank you both for joining us. Jeremy, I've loved Jeremy a long time. We love you a long time. And he's a delightful guy. Probably the most interesting person in Oxbow, for being honest. Not that that's necessarily a very big title, but clearly you're the most interesting guy in Oxbow. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, you were just talking, Jeremy, but it didn't come through.
Nothing.
I just saw your mouth moving. But anyway, that's Oxbow in a nutshell. And Christian, you're now the second person from Edmonton we've had on, and both of you have been fantastic. So, Edmonton, represent. They get a little bit of shade as far as, cities in Canada go, but I think they're doing fairly well on the tip.
Well, thanks for having me on, guys.
No problem.
It was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. After you guys get into the swing, maybe in the next couple of months or something, we'll have to try and reschedule again and see how the show's going.
For sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm always down.
Sounds good. All right, folks. Well, thank you boys for joining us, and enjoy your day.
Enjoy, fellas. Thank you.
Cool.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
Bye. Okay, so that was.
We're back.
Yeah, definitely, folks. Check out Christians with an S stories.
Yeah,
I just searched. They're currently available.
Stories.
What were you saying?
Apostrophe S stories.
Yeah. They're currently available on Apple Podcasts for sure. If you listen on Anchor, they're also there. They're likely up on most of the places because there's a trailer. Yes. Let's see what. Wonder if I should. There's a 20-second trailer. Let's see if I can
play it true.
I have a friend with a lot of stories. His name is Christian.
Yeah.
This is Christian Stories.
This is Christian Story.
Okay, so the trailer doesn't tell you anything, but you can definitely get over there and let's really check if they're up on Spotify as well. I imagine they are, or at least they will be.
Yeah, once they get up and running, I'll definitely be listening because that man definitely has some stories. I mean, you could almost look at this episode as one long trailer for people to kind of get a gist of what I think it's going to be about, and it's going to be super interesting for sure.
No do to boot it. But yeah, folks, so that was fun. Definitely head over to wherever they are. Follow them on Instagram, Christian_stories.
Yes.
Christians Stories. It's hard to say with my fat tongue.
Job of the Hut over there.
Fuck off. We were also supposed to discuss some stuff that Mr. Mitchell Buckers had sent us, but that didn't really fit into this episode, so we'll try for next episode.
We'll try it next time for sure.
But, folks, if you're on social media, give us a follow on all of them. Just search Two Idiots Podcast. We'll show up, except Twitter, we're Two Idiots Show, but nobody cares about Twitter.
No, nobody uses Twitter now.
Nah. Well, I mean, that's not true. But it's, I have to log in again. Damn it. Okay, never mind. I was going to open the Patreon. But,
I got it here. We can shout him out.
Good.
Look at that. For once I'm on the ball, eh?
Yeah, right? It only took like 25 episodes.
I know. Fuck. We're here. That's what matters. Okay, we're here. We're here with podcasting. Get used to it. Anyway, as always, anyone who's on our Patreon at the $7 level and above gets a shout out in the Two Idiots Hall of Fame. Hall of Fame. This week we have some shout outs. We have Janet Gooden.
Woo.
Much appreciate the support. We have Mr. Mitchell Buck Pierce Buckers. We have Mr. Brian Moore.
Brainiac
faithful
Moore.
Follower of the show.
Yeah.
A top fan on the Facebook.
He is. Yeah.
We have Big Drew McDonald. Big Drew coming in with the support. We also have Kayla Lundberg on behalf of her and Jordan Peters. And last but not least, my wonderful mother, Mrs. Danny Dewick.
Yes. That's the Idiots Hall of Fame, folks. Get in there. And even for the lower tiers, you still get extra bonus content. You get entry into giveaways. You get, bonus. You get all the extra stuff, and you help support us to keep pumping out these little ditties.
There's all kinds of stuff. And we were looking recently, I believe Reg put a post out saying if we get, 5 more patrons, that we will release the currently unreleased episode of the Hot Jambalaya podcast that never took off.
The never before heard, the never before seen the one that we had a Hot Jambalaya Instagram account before we even started the tip.
We did.
It's been saying coming soon for 2.5 years.
Maybe one day, once we're making our living off podcasting, perhaps.
Yeah, that'd be a blast. We should get into that. But so suffice to say, 5 more patrons at any tier. If you have $3 burning a hole in your pocket, even for 1 month, toss it in there, and then you get to listen to our
one cup of coffee.
Coffee.
One cup of coffee.
Bit of Java. La Java. A little bit of that. And you get to hear just the god-awful editing quality and the terrible mic levels, and it was trash. So we want to release it to those that are willing to support us. And maybe someday we'll do it right. But for now, they are not good. Not good 100%. At all. I haven't even listened to them since I finished editing them. 20...
Yeah, I don't think I would have either.
It would have been late 2018 probably when I finished
something like that. But jump over to patreon.com/2idiots-podcast. Find us there. Like we said, there's all kinds of tiers, all kinds of perks. Go check it out. Hit us up by email, doubleidiotspodcast@gmail.com. And send us your suggestions. And if you have people that want to come on the show, if you got any paranormal or UFO stories, I'm always down to hear them.
Yeah.
Throw whatever you want our way, and we'll get back to you.
Yeah. Speaking of the paranormies, they've been popping off.
Just crossed 10K on YouTube.
They're probably at 20K by now. Guys
probably.
Are to the moon. To the moon.
They started on the tip. It was all because of us. We strapped the rockets. We're gonna call ourselves the rocket strappers.
The rocket strapper. I mean, it's true. It's true. We're very good at starting other things that do better than us.
Yeah, but no, props to those guys. I enjoy their content. I'm glad they're getting people watching their stuff, and it's good shit. Go check them out. Go follow them.
Do you think that all of the stuff is legit that they're filming, or that they're cooking it a little bit? What do you think?
I'm gonna think they're two honest men going out and just trying to find some shit because I think they're much like me. Is they just want to. They look at it and they describe this in their episode. They look at it as, they don't want to just go out there and just believe it, right? They want to kind of debunk stuff and try stuff. So I think they're on the level, and I'm enjoying it. So yeah.
Yeah, I haven't watched the last couple episodes, but overall, great channel, great guys. As are Jeremy and Christian of Christian Stories fames. Come on.
Go check
As
them
if
out.
you don't know.
If this didn't make you interested in wanting to listen to that, I don't know what's wrong with you.
Yeah. We've got a weird, cult bend lately. That's 2 cult episodes in the last couple. So
we'll call up some Waco survivors and get them on. And
yeah. That would be super cool. But
that would be interesting.
Anyway, folks, thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed. Like I said, if you don't feel compelled to listen to Christian Stories after all of that, then you are dead inside.
You are a fool.
Yeah, fool. Le fool. Le fool. Le fool.
Le fou.
Le fou.
Gaston Le fou.
Anyway, folks, well, thank you for listening. We hope you enjoyed. And, if you want to get some merch, teespring.com/stores/2-idiots-podcast. Get yourself some new stuff. I've been saying we've been meaning to add some stuff to it, and I am meaning to, but haven't designed some new stuff.
Just give it a few weeks, and Hookers for Jesus will be up there.
I might I might have to try and get that done as like a pre-launch for Christian Stories and see if we could sell like a limited run of Hookers for Jesus. What would that just be? Because it wouldn't be Jesus as a hooker, which would be hilarious, but it would just be hookers on a corner. They hookers for Jesus.
Like hookers in front of a church or something. I don't know.
Oh my god! Just step on all the toes. It's over.
Do it all.
Like the Facebook memory that you showed me that I sent to you in 2011.
Yes, the one that
we don't need to.
We'd be canceled for today.
Yeah, we don't need to read that out loud. But yeah, it's
maybe one day next year I'll just share it when it comes back up.
Okay. Let's do it.
No, I wouldn't do that.
But I mean, really, I kind of think that times have changed.
Yeah.
I didn't mean it to be that horrendous, but
We've
now I
grown
would-
as people, Reg.
Exactly. So anyway. Goodbye, everybody. Enjoy your day. Love you.
Bye.